Dear Boomers, happy Wednesday to you. And my controversial idea today is to ask Stan Goldberg to be on my next YouTube video show. He is renowned for writing books and exploring the cancer situation in our country, and also how elderly people are treated. His latest book is called Senior, How to Prevent Senior Moments. So we will probably talk about that. But I already did an interview with him years ago on YouTube when we used to have Google Hangouts, my favorite thing at the time, and then they did away with it. Boo-hoo. But the subject matter of that particular interview was, I have cancer. Or, you have cancer, and what are you going to do about it? So, he is a person who has cancer or had cancer himself, prostate cancer, and I'm sure that he has, that's the kind of thing that you always wonder if it's going to come back. It's kind of like a mindset thing with cancer. If it does go away, you have to be kind of stringent about how you are living your life. And I think that's what we need to do anyway, whether we have cancer or not. We have to be very conscious of how we think and how we feel, and breathe through the heart and change the brain to elevated emotions of joy, compassion, unconditional love, and forgiveness. As I have often said on this wonderful daily YouTube long form video. So today I will chop up the interview. Sounds terrible, but I will make sure that the video that I did with him before goes out. I will tag him and ask him to come on the show again. That will be fun because I think he's a very interesting person. And like with Will Johnson, I'm not going to be making a whole lot of, oh yes, thank you, I agree with that. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut until it's time to ask another question or to ask him what he meant by what he said. And very interesting. He used to be a hospice caregiver. I don't think he's probably a PhD as opposed to a nurse, but he, any number of people can volunteer with hospice. And at the time, one of my big takeaways from his interview was that you don't have to, if you're pretty sick, you can get into hospice whether you're about to die or not. And most people think they have to be on death's door in order to get into hospice. And in this case, he was saying that you don't. And I believe that probably is still true. The interview was, after all, 10 years ago. Everything changes, but everything kind of stays the same too. So I will ask him a few questions about that, because what we don't know about hospice is very important in today's world. I have, in my nursing career, been interested in hospice, but what I found to be difficult was the people around the person who is dying having so many blocks up about those deaths, impending deaths. And the people around you are very important for the dying person to feel that they can go now. And I guess, and as a matter of fact, you don't have to wait around for people to give you permission to die. But when people are completely blocked off about the inevitability of somebody's death, that is something that they really need to work on. I mean, in fact, the whole idea of death coming out of the closet in American society is very important for people to accept death. Well, and maybe it has to do with the great unknown. The great unknown, when it comes to death, is a very difficult part of the difficulty in accepting death is that you don't have any idea what's going to happen. So when people adapt an idea of the great adventure and the next big step out of this world, and then of course a lot of people have trepidations in general about what this world represents. So it's a very interesting situation, and there's so many mindsets involved. The mindsets surrounding death, the mindsets surrounding letting go of your loved ones. And maybe that's the worst part about death, is knowing that people are going to die in your life. I know that with my husband, I knew he was going to die at some point because he had 3 heart attacks. And I knew that the 4th would be deadly, as it was, coupled with COVID. And anything coupled with COVID becomes a real challenge. And even if you don't have any other kind of secondary diagnosis, it is very important to realize that COVID can affect different people different ways. And trying to get that light out of my glasses. Anyway, so the mindset surrounding death is a big one. The mindsets surrounding the sick bed, the denial that comes about with knowing that somebody's going to die, and the denial with generally all things that have to do with life in general. Denial is a big thing to confront. How do you know when you are in a state of denial? Well, you have to be very, very careful of how you think and what you feel, and be very conscious and aware. So in order to do that, you think you can, at every moment, with every breath, you realize that, oh my God, I am in a state of denial about this, about death, about that. For instance, my older dog, Pearl. I can't be in a state of denial about her inevitable death, but we are all inevitably going to die. So, that's part of the whole thing. So in the example of my dog, Pearl, she's very vital. She's a very beautiful girl, and everything about her is just perfect. She was with me when my husband died in front of my very eyes, and and his last words were, Pearl, Pearl, Pearl. And why? Because she was barking incessantly when she realized that he was dying. And he says, Pearl, 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 because he didn't like her barking. She is quite the barker. Anyway, Pearl. I think that she is very vital. She does have weakened legs. I'm working on her in a number of different ways to keep her alive. But she does have that spark, and she is happy, and she loves me, and she loves Masa. She gets a shot of glucosamine every month, and she gets something for pain twice a day. She gets True Canine, I think has to do with gut health. She gets a number of different products, turkey tail mushrooms, for instance, for overall health, and it's an adaptogen, and I have other products that combine many other mushrooms that she gets. She gets she gets all kinds of stuff, especially for her joints and her hips. So, and then I do some energy work through the heart to her legs, to my heart, to her legs, to her overall body, and it does seem to give her an extra bounce in her step. So that's the thing. We all know how hard it is to lose a dog or a cat or any other different beautiful creatures of beasts that were created by the universe. We know that. And it's easy to get into denial about it, or to think, I can't live without so-and-so and such and such. I can't live without Pearl. I can't live without my husband. I can't live without my parents. I can't live, yes, you can, because they haven't gone anywhere, apparently. There is another interview I did with Julia Asante. Julia Asante. And she is sort of a real spokesperson about life after death. And I have the book called The Last Frontier, and I did an interview with her, so I will chop that one up. And maybe she'll come on my channel, because I've always thought she was so cool. And it might be difficult to contact her. I'm not sure if she's really on social media. But I will think about that, because I think you would all enjoy her. She is not in America. She lives, I believe, in one of the more obscure European countries. The last time I spoke with her, she was caring for her husband, and at this point he may have passed. We are all connected. There's no sense at all in thinking that there are divisions between anybody or anything. The rocks are full of life. So that's my little talk for today. Don't get into denial about death or the ones that you love, especially your animals. And denial is a form of really being blocked from the life force. We have to accept things and tolerate everything. And there is my little boy. Love to you all. Please subscribe to my channel. Bye-bye.